just bought the core set and joined the game Discord. Scouring the internet for the packs I can't afford. But now I'm getting worried cause I see it everywhere. The game is dying, they all cry, now I'm a little scared. What the hell, I just bought this game. Now you're telling me it's dead, that's really lame. What do I do with all these cards? Maybe sell them at a sale in my yard. It looked like it might be something fun to play.
I'll never ever come back from this, cause I was caught off guard.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another live gameplay stream for Caught Off Guard. I am Wasteland Sniper, and tonight, as I mentioned in the description and on the message that I put out last week about why I did not stream last week, if you were hoping for a stream, I'm really sorry. I've had a lot going on the past few weeks, and it kind of caught up with me last week and still hasn't quite evened out yet. It's actually gotten a little bit more complicated, but I did want to get a stream in tonight, and since I don't have to wake up super early tomorrow, I figured I can deal with being a little bit tired tonight. Plus, I did actually get to sleep in today, which was really nice. That being said, okay, so what are we doing different tonight? Well, that you might be wondering why I have all of these modular sets just sitting here, and that is part of what we're doing a little differently. We're going to take a look at minions. Because the card that I want to focus on tonight, well, I guess I should explain. So the reason I'm playing the deck that I'm playing is because I want to focus on a card that is considered quote-unquote bad. I don't like characterizing cards as good or bad. Mostly because I think there are cards that are bad for certain situations and certain decks, and when you're facing certain, like, villains, right? There are certain heroes that facing certain villains are bad. For instance, Black Widow and Collector 1. That is a terrible combination. But nobody is going to tell you that Black Widow is a bad hero. She's not. She's just really not good when it comes to Collector 1, and that is because Collector 1's mechanic clashes with hers so spectacularly badly. Collector wants to take cards from you that leave play, and he takes cards from himself that leave play as well, and that normally wouldn't be that big of an issue, except for the fact that it actually is part of a loss condition for that specific scenario. Black Widow, meanwhile, wants to have basically half of her deck. She wants about half of her deck out on the table at any one time. And once you trigger one of those cards, because she's really big on the type of card is preparations, once she triggers one of those, they get discarded. But the way Collector works is once a card is discarded from play, it goes into the collection, which I believe the loss condition for that is 5 per player. If there are 5 per player cards in the collection, you lose the game. And so if you're triggering a whole bunch of preparations, you're also defeating minions. Like, it's just a spectacularly bad combination of gameplay. Definitely very difficult. I don't know that I would necessarily suggest it unless you really like working out like puzzles and you like those, I've got this handful of cards I want to play, but I've got to get, cards out of the collection. Because you do have to make hard choices during that particular scenario, and I know, like, for a lot of people it's not a good scenario just for that specific reason. I personally I like the Collector 1 scenario just because I see it as a puzzle. It's a fun puzzle to solve. But that's just an example of where you have a hero that nobody considers bad. Nobody considers, well, I won't say nobody. Most people won't consider Black Widow bad. But against the Collector 1 scenario, she is very bad. It's not a good combination at all. You know, and there are other cards that, like, just one card, just a single card, that you just look at it and you're like, why would I ever play this card? And so I don't like the idea of pegging cards as good or bad. I like to look at them as useful or not useful, depending on what I'm facing off against. And that's where we come to all of these modular sets. And that is because the card that I'm talking about tonight and that I want to use and show you that it can have a use case. I'm not going to tell you it's a good or a bad card. I'm not going to tell you that it's a card that I would put in every single protection deck. It's a protection card, because I won't. It's very niche and has at this point, very few use cases. That, like, I will admit it does have very few use cases. But the use cases that it has are interesting and can be very useful, and at least in one case is really kind of funny if you can pull it off. So for that, like, let's dive into these minions and take a look at, like, why we're looking at this. And I promise you we'll get to the card that I'm talking about, but I just want to point some things out. So we're going to talk about minions, and we're going to talk about wording. Because if you have been playing this game for a while, you totally understand how wording in this game, it can be such a headache. But it is extremely important. Like, the wording on how cards work is so important with this particular game. So let's look at these minions and look at what the common theme is among them that kind of binds them together. There is one that is kind of, well, two. There are two that are kind of off in their own little area, but the effect still works with them, just in a little bit different of a way, maybe. But yeah, let's talk about it. So we have Blizzard here with his whiteout set. Blizzard is a Thunderbolt. He's an elite. He has Villainous, Victory 1. He schemes for 1. He has Attack 2, and he's got 16 hit points. He has a forced response after Blizzard attacks a character. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for Encased in Ice and attach it to that character. Otherwise, stun the attacked character. Okay, so we'll just kind of move through these, and I bet you'll be able to figure out what the common theme is here. Blah, Brotherhood of Mutants from the Brotherhood set. Scheme 1, Attack of 2. Has 6 hit points. Guard. Force response after Blob attacks and damages a character. Stun that character. Okay. Controller from Crossfire's Crew. 2 scheme, 1 attack. Brute, Crossfire's Crew. 5 hit points. Force interrupt. When controller's attack would deal any amount of damage to a character, increase that amount by that character's attack. Alright. Creeping Willow, 0 scheme, 1 attack. Wood. 3 hit points. This is from the Black Tom Cassidy set. Guard and Quick Strike. Forced response after Creeping Willow attacks and damages a character. Stun that character. Griffin from the Beastie Boys set. Scheme 1, attack of 3. 7 hit points. Brute, Masters of Evil. Quick Strike. Forced response after Griffin attacks and damages a character. Stun that character. Alright. Laufey from Frost Giants. 2 scheme, 4 attack. Elite Giant. 6 hit points. Toughness. After Laufey attacks and damages a character, stun that character. Are you seeing the pattern here? It has to do with the word character. Scorpion from A Mess of Things. 3 scheme, 3 attack, quick strike, 7 hit points. Force response after Scorpion attacks and damages a character, stun that character. Another version of Scorpion from Sinister Assault. 1 scheme, 3 attack, 6 hit points, brute, elite, toughness, villainous. Force response after Scorpion attacks and damages a character, stun that character. If it's already stunned, deal 2 damage to it. Supergiant. 2 scheme, 2 attack, Black Order elite, 5 hit points, quick strike. She is from the Black Order modular set. Force response after Supergiant attacks and damages a character, that character is stunned. Okay, I'm going to come back to Purple Man here. Cottonmouth. Luke Cage's nemesis, so this is a new one. 2 scheme, 1 attack, Serpent Society, 5 hit points, force response. After Cottonmouth attacks, he attacks the same character 2 additional times. Alright, now we'll go look at the edge cases here, or the ones that kind of, that this interacts with a little bit differently. So we've got Shocker from the Sinister Syndicate. 1 scheme, 2 attack, force response after Shocker is attacked, stun the attacking character. So this isn't so much about Shocker attacking another character, this is another character attacking Shocker. And then also, oh, I forgot to mention, from this same set we have Speed Demon. 1 scheme, 2 attack, 3 hit points, criminal. Force interrupt when a character attacks Speed Demon attacks that character. So we've got Shocker here. So Speed Demon kind of fits more in with the rest of these. Shocker is kind of off on his own because it's not that he's attacking somebody else, it's that he is being attacked. And then we have Purple Man here, which is Jessica Jones's nemesis. Star Scheme, Star Attack, 6 hit points, Psionic. Purple Man's scheme is equal to the highest scheme or thwart among characters in play, and his attack is equal to the highest attack among characters in play. So, for him, it's basically not that you're looking for him to do something extra. It's that you're looking for him to put up big damage numbers, essentially. And this is... Let's see. Try to figure out how I want to say this. So, as you can tell, all of these minions have one thing in common, except for Shocker, but Speed Demon definitely, is that when they are attacking, their responses all have to do with responses or interrupts, because controller has an interrupt here. But they all have to do with a character. And in Marvel Champions, I was gonna look this up and actually make a whole thing where you could like actually see it, but we can go look up. Let's see. Here we go. So I can't show this on the screen, but I can read you the definition of character in Marvel Champions, which is, as we all know with Marvel Champions, wording is very important. So, for character in the rules reference guide, version 1.8, the most recent one that was just released about 2-ish months ago, it says character, identities, heroes and alter egos, allies, villains, and minions are all characters. So when we're talking about all of these minions who can attack and damage characters, they can attack each other. They can attack the villain if they have something that forces them to do that. Now, one card that I know is actually really good, that people really enjoy using, to take control of others, of like minions, and then use them against the villain or against other minions is Karma. Karma is... Oh, I should have brought her card down with me and I didn't. I am sorry. But Karma... So she has this response. She's a 4-cost ally. She has 0 thwart, 0 attack. She's psionic. She's X-Men traded. And she only has 1 hit point. And she has this response. After you play Karma from your hand, choose a non-elite minion. While Karma is in play, take control of that minion and treat it as a controlled ally with a blank text box. Its thwart is equal to its printed scheme, and it takes 2 consequential damage after it thwarts or attacks. Okay. So Karma can take control of most minions, but on this table, she would not be able to control Supergiant. She can't control Scorpion, Laufey, Blizzard. Alright, so those she can't control. But she's also blanking their text boxes, so nothing in their text boxes fire when they go off. Okay, and Karma, like, she can be used for great effect in other decks. Like, you know, you control Griffin, and you're attacking for 3, and he's got 7 hit points. So you're attacking for 3 for... Like, you could do 4 attacks with Griffin because he's taking 2 consequential damage. So 3 attacks would get him down to 1. 4 attacks would you know, take him over and take him out. But anyway, he ends up doing 12 damage if that's what you're using him for. Is just attacking and doing damage. Which is a lot. That's really good. And, you know, that... I think that makes Karma, like, a really solid ally to have. But again, she can't choose non-elite minions, and she blanks their text boxes. So, any of, like, the additional bad stuff that they can do, they don't get to do because she's blanked. And you're probably wondering, well, why am I talking about this? Like, what's the point? Because there's another ally. This sounds very Lord of the Rings-ish, I realize that. There was another ally, yeah. So, anyway. And that is what this deck, this Wasp deck, is pretty much about. We want to be recurring Moondragon. And I know, you're looking at that, why? Why would you do that? Why? Well, because Moondragon's ability is just exhaust and discard Moondragon, choose a minion. That minion attacks another enemy of your choice. They can be an elite minion. They can attack the villain. And their text boxes aren't blank. So... she's a 3-cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 hit points. And at the time she came out, she was part of Drax's pack. At the time that Drax came out, the only minion on this table that was available was this Scorpion here. This, after Scorpion attacks and damages a character, stun that character. That was it. Everything else here came out after Moondragon. And, I mean, you know, Scorpion's not bad. He's 3 attack, 7 hit points. Which, you know, for Karma, the 7 hit points matters more. But for Moondragon, that 3 attack is, it's okay. I mean, the only problem is you're only getting 1 attack out of it, right? Except with her ability, you're getting an attack and you're stunning the other character. Which is... Still, is it worth the 3 hit points? Or the 3 that it costs to get her out? Debatable. But, I mean, it can definitely come in handy. And, you know, especially if you're using Scorpion to attack other minions. Like, so we have Shocker here, who... After Shocker's attack, you stun the attacking character. So Scorpion attacks Shocker, and stuns Shocker, and then Shocker stuns Scorpion back. It's a very fun interaction if you can get them to do stuff like that, or, you know, from the core box, I believe it was, you've got the MODOK minion in the, it's like the Doomsday Chair, I believe is the name of the modular set. But anyway, he has Retaliate 2. I think that's the only minion so far that actually has Retaliate 2. Like, Retaliate 1 is bad enough, Retaliate 2 is just brutal. And so, you can make, you know, one of these guys attack MODOK, the minion MODOK. They'll take Retaliate from attacking MODOK, and MODOK gets stunned. Like, most of these are stunned. Sadly, I could not find a single minion that would confuse upon attacking, which is kind of sad. That's one I'd like to play with a little more if that somehow becomes available. But I mean, like, as you can see, it's not, in the grand scheme of the game, this is not a lot to go on as far as, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw Moondragon in the deck and, you know, whatever we're up against, she can do something with it. No, not necessarily. But if you are including one of these sets in your, you know, the scenario that you decide that you're gonna play against, it can be fun to add Moondragon into, you know, if you're playing a protection deck, it can be fun to add her into the deck and just see what you can get her to, you know, make these guys do. It's just, like, she definitely falls into that kind of niche, like, very niche area where it's a card that it's like, this is not going to be a good card in all situations. And that's fine. I prefer those types of cards because then you don't feel like when you're building decks and you start wanting to put them into a deck, there's a reason for it. There's actually a reason to put this particular character into, or this particular ally into a deck, or, you know, a particular event, or support, or, you know, upgrade, or something like that. It's not just kind of a, well, here's my suite of cards that always go into a certain deck, or into a deck, and then you feel like, well, it's the same deck over and over and over again. I've seen these cards over and over again. This is boring. No, like, this gives you something new to play with. Is she efficient? No, probably not. But, I mean, like I said, she can get some really funny interactions going on. And the one in particular that I think is probably the best, if you can pull it off, is with Blizzard. Because, let's go back to Blizzard. After Blizzard attacks a character, you search the encounter deck and discard pile for Encased in Ice, and attach it to that character. Alright, so what is Encased in Ice? Well, let's look at Encased in Ice. So, if it's just coming out as an encounter card, it says attached to your identity. Okay. Well, I mean, if Blizzard is pulling it out, that doesn't matter. What matters is everything that comes after that. Attached character cannot attack enemies other than this card. So you basically lock down the villain. It's like giving them a stun, but, and this is where it can get really fun, is any player can attack this card as if it were a minion. Well, if you put it on the villain, why would you attack it, right? But if there's 3 or more damage here, move all but 3 damage here to attached character and discard this card. So normally you hate to see this card come out because it usually goes on your hero, and then you're trying your hardest to only hit it for 3 hit points so that none of that damage rolls over onto you. But in this case, you can throw 2 damage onto it, and then the villain is going to attack it because it's the only thing the villain can attack. As it says here, attached character cannot attack enemies other than this card. And the villain is going to attack it, in this case, Drang, with a base 2 attack. He's going to attack for at least 2. So, there is going to be damage rollover because he only needs 1 more damage on here in order to hit that 3. And then if he hits like a 3, like Purple Man here, he's got 3 little pips at the bottom of his card. Laufey has a massive 4. Like, you basically get the villain to stun them, to be stunned for a round, essentially, even if they have Stalwart, and at the same time, when they're trying to get out of the ice, they can end up hurting themselves. So this ends up being a really funny interaction, and I actually wrote some rules questions to FFG about this because I wanted to make sure that yes, this is actually legal, like you can actually do all of this stuff. They haven't replied to me yet. I don't know that they will because again, we're talking about Moondragon, which is a card that is way outside of the current environment. But still, like, I want to make sure that the interaction actually does work the way that I think it does, the way that it sounds like it does. Because again, when you can pull it off, it's funny, and it feels really good, because you're using, this is a pretty nasty set. So if you can get Blizzard to, attack Drang, and attach a copy of Encased in Ice to Drang, like, you're solving some of your own problems. Because Blizzard's going to do a bunch of damage to Drang, then lock Drang down, and then Drang's going to do some damage to himself getting out of the ice. So it's these like funny interactions, I think, that they're not powerful. It's not something that you necessarily would say, oh, I'm totally going to aim to do that. But when you can pull them off, it's so much fun. And so I think, like, with that in mind, like, we're not going to do what you would normally do for Drang and put in, let's see, I think it wants the Brotherhood of Badoon. Well, Brotherhood of Badoon is actually what this scenario is called. Band of Badoon. So we're not going to put in the Band of Badoon set. We're going to actually use, so technically it's asking for just one set. I think we're going to use a couple from here. And I would really like to use, I think, Blizzard. I actually really want to see how Blizzard works out in this. Creeping Willow could be fun, or, Black Tom Cassidy, because there's 4 copies of Creeping Willow in this set, and all of them do the same thing, obviously. After Creeping Willow attacks and damages a character, stun that character. The only issue that I have with this is that all of them have Guard and Quick Strike as well. So it makes putting damage on Drang a little bit harder if you're using Creeping Willow. So I think... Gang up, tail sweep, tail sweep. So I think, we could throw a Mess of Things Scorpion in. The Sinister Assault comes with a whole bunch of other minions that a lot of them do some pretty nasty stuff, so I don't really want to deal with them so much. I mean, controller might be interesting. Again, we got a bunch more minions. But I think like this one could be fun. I mean, one of the things I really like about the Creeping Willow, and actually now that I think about it, I don't know if that works. If the Creeping Willow has guard, I don't think it can attack the villain. So that probably doesn't work all that well. So we could go with Supergiant here, which would actually probably fit a little bit more thematically since, you know, we're talking about space. And these guys are all aliens. So we got Black Dwarf, Supergiant, the Black Order, and Blood Despair. When revealed, each minion engaged with a player activates against that player. Each player who is not engaged with a minion searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a Black Order minion. Let's do this one. I think we'll do this one. So between this and Blizzard, and this could blow up spectacularly. This could blow up in our faces. Well, my face anyway. Pretty badly. We're going to put all of these off to the side. And then we'll talk a little bit about the deck that I put together. I wouldn't call it anything special. It was more of a kind of, I want to make sure that I can get Moondragon out and basically keep her cycling through the deck, which is why I decided to go with Wasp for this build. Alright, so let's bring little Naughty Van Dyne over here. So we have Wasp. The big thing about Wasp is on her alter ego side, she's got this girl ability. With action, shuffle up to 2 cards with a printed mental resource from your discard pile into your deck. Notice what resource Moondragon has down there at the bottom. So we can keep recurring Moondragon into our deck. And also, in order to help keep her available, so, you know, if she comes up in our hand, but we can't play her, I've got Avengers Compound, which also has a mental resource, so I can go grab that again if I need to. Play only if your identity has the Avengers trait, which Wasp is an Avenger. And then you can exhaust Avengers Compound to choose tuck 1 ally from your hand here if there's no tucked ally here, or play the tucked ally here as if it was in your hand. So this is going to help us keep a hold of Moondragon when there are times that we just can't get Moondragon out. We've also got 3 copies of Meditation, which is an alter ego action, 0 cost event, and I think it's just kind of funny, but I do believe that is Moondragon on the card as well. So this is actually kind of like Kismet, I guess. Exhaust your alter ego, play a card from your hand, reducing its resource cost by 3. So it effectively makes Moondragon free, just as long as you can exhaust your hero, or I mean your alter ego. Beyond that, I think these are the 3 big cards. Like, I've got 2 more copies of Meditation, so we got the max numbers of Meditation. I've also got Perseverance, 2 copies of Perseverance in this deck, because she's going to be flipping down and up a lot. So this just gives her tough, so, you know, when she's attacked, she doesn't necessarily have to block the attack or, you know, take all the damage to her face, which is good. Because when she's down on this side, we don't want her to be having to exhaust all the time to heal, because we need her exhaust for Meditation when possible. For card draw, we have cards like Moon Girl and... oh, where are you? I believe Ironheart. We've got Dr. Sinclair to kind of help get rid of any stuns or confuses if needed. And in order to go like grab these minions, we've got Come Get Me Bub, which is nice because it also provides healing and a tough status for Nadia Van Dyne. We've got Swarm Tactics here, so you know when we get Ant-Man down, we can use Swarm Tactics to change to the other hero form and ready the hero. Wasp is kind of an interesting hero. I think she was unfairly maligned when she initially came out because she was being compared a lot to Ant-Man. And to be fair, Ant-Man is a lot of fun. But the way that you play Ant-Man versus the way that you play Nadia Van Dyne, or, you know, Wasp, is very different. Ant-Man wants to constantly be jumping between forms. If you can change forms more than twice, or, you know, at least twice every turn, you want to be doing that with Ant-Man. With Wasp, not so much. You kind of want to lean into one particular form and then change her form as needed for the moment and then get back into the other form that is kind of the main one that you're aiming at being in for most of the game. She works best when you do that, and I think it's just the fact that the Wasp and Ant-Man sharing like their very base level mechanic being the fact that both of them have these three-sided cards, you know, where you've got Alter Ego, you've got Tiny Form, and you've got Giant Form. I think that kind of caused a lot of people to really try to lean into the whole Ant-Man style of play, which for her just, it does not work all that well. So let's get this whole scenario set up. I've already got Drang's hit points up, I've got Wasp's hit points up. So we just need to mix all of this stuff together and see how this game goes. Alright. After Deadpool 2, you have a difficult time taking Black Tom Cassidy seriously. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to watch that again because I don't remember Black Tom Cassidy. Being in that, let's see. Yeah, I gotta watch that again. Alright, so Drang. Not gonna use Drang 3. There's Drang 1 and 2. Okay, we need the Milano. Put out the Badoon ship. Okay, so set up. Put the Badoon ship environment and the Milano support into play. Okay, so we got both those out. I'm gonna get these together. Alright, we got our standard set with a lovely little caught off guard on the top. I'm sure at some point we're going to draw a caught off guard. I almost always do. Alright, now let's get these in here. So we have her obligation in here. We have the standard set. We've got whiteout and now we've got black order. So I typically like to do more thematic games, you know, where I'm keeping everything super thematic, the hero, the villain, like they've actually, you know, faced each other in the comics, the sets that go with the villain. But for this one, I thought Drang would be a good villain because there's not a lot of overhead when running Drang. He doesn't have, I think, too much of his own stuff going on. He's just, you know, putting counters on the Badoon ship, but he's not doing really anything else that I would consider, you know, crazy or very specialized. So I thought he would be a good one, and then, you know, just adding the other ones in, the modulars with the minions that we're talking about, adding them in. Oh, sorry, I gotta drink a lot of water because I was out in the sun all day, and at the same time, I went to sleep Monday night, woke up in the middle of the night with a sore throat, which is almost a sore throat, and that always is like you're getting sick. So I've been a little under the weather for the past couple of days, and like dealing with an injury from work, and then yeah, it's been a mess. It's been a mess. Yes, I do have wasp sleeves. I actually have all the sleeves. Pretty much every hero that I can find hero-specific sleeves for, I have the hero-specific sleeves for them. I think the only one that I don't have that for right now is probably Ghost Spider. Because I know there are sleeves, like Ghost Spider specific sleeves that I think Upper Deck makes. I just haven't picked those up yet. Okay, and we're using my little board here. Let's see. Alright, so we're ready there. We've got the Badoon ship and the Milano in play. Drang's hit points are up. Wasp's hit points are up. See, the ones that I love, that I absolutely adore, if they don't already have sleeves made for them, that's when I go a little nuts and decide to look into getting custom sleeves made. But I've only done that for 2 heroes, and I don't see myself doing that for any more. As much as I would really like Daredevil sleeves, how is nobody making Daredevil sleeves right now? Like, an aside, how is nobody making Daredevil sleeves right now? I don't understand it. You can get Ghost Spider sleeves, but you can't get Daredevil sleeves. There's no sense. No sense in that at all. I don't understand it. Anyway, back to the game. Alright, so this is going to start with 2 threat. Okay, it's got a force response. Let's take a look at this. After resolving step 1 of the villain phase, resolve the Badoon ship's charge-up ability. And what is the Badoon ship's charge-up ability, you might ask? Charge up, special, place 1 barrage counter here. Then if there are 4 or more barrage counters here, deal 2 indirect damage to each player and remove all barrage counters from here. So we're constantly going to be taking damage throughout the scenario as this the Badoon ship goes off. When Drang schemes, we also have to resolve the Badoon's charge up ability. So we got to keep an eye on that. Oh yeah, printing your own sleeves. I imagine that would be super difficult. Like, I know for... I don't have an example here. So I did the custom sleeves. Like, I had custom sleeves made for both Nightcrawler and Winter Soldier, because I love those I love both of those heroes. Just in general in the MCU, but also, or, you know, just Marvel in general, but also they're 2 of my favorite heroes to play in the game. And so I had the the card sleeves made for them, and there's no border around them, which doesn't seem to be an issue. Like, I don't really look at the backs of my cards all that often, so like, you know, in sleeves I'm not looking at the backs any more than I normally would, so I haven't really noticed anything that like gives away which card is in which sleeve. But there is a company called Night Crew Games that they're making, they're just about to release a Cyberpunk, not an LCG, but kind of in that vein, because LCG is, I believe, trademarked or copyrighted, I forget exactly which one, by Fantasy Flight Games, but it's in that vein. They plan on adding more cards to the game, more scenarios, more player cards, and stuff like that. So it'll, and every time you buy a new pack or box or whatever, you know exactly what cards you're getting. So it's the same model as FFG's LCGs. But part of the Kickstarter that they did was it also included being able to buy card sleeves, and they said they were going to do full art card sleeves, but then apparently when they were talking to their sleeve producer, the sleeve producer is like, there's a lot of issues like if you try to produce full art card sleeves, so basically nobody does that. They always have some sort of a border around the sleeve, and so yeah, apparently there's been, I don't know, some kind of a thing about that with printing. Like, I don't know, the sleeves can look a little off. I haven't noticed that to be an issue with the ones that I had, the custom ones that I had made, but I don't know. Like, I can't really say for sure. Oh yeah, that would make sense. We have a bunch of cards from Jessica Jones and Echo waiting for Ghost Spider deck going up against Venom Goblin. Need to show up. Yeah, I actually changed my Silk deck, so my Silk deck is no longer Protection. It's now Justice, and there were some of the cards from Jessica Jones that I wanted to throw into that deck as well. One of them being the ally, the Web Warrior ally, just to see if that could help. Because, man, so I watched Web Warrior Fanatic actually play against Venom Goblin with Luke Cage, I think it was Luke Cage, the other day, and like whichever one it was that he played against Venom Goblin with, like, it seemed like he had all the threat under control and everything. I'm like, that is so much easier to deal with actually in solo or just 2-player as opposed to 4-player. Because we have tried Ghost Rider. I don't think I would put Ghost Rider in just because I'm kind of trying to keep with the theme, but also I don't know that his ability would be that useful. Plus I need to see exactly how many energy icons I actually have in the deck, because I'm not quite sure right now exactly what that's at. But Dorsey, you know, like, because you're part of the group, you've been there, so like, you know, for the past 2 times that we have tried as a group, as a 4-player group, to beat Venom Goblin, we have been schemed out every single, like, both times, and it's not even close. It's like at the start we seem to have a handle on it, and then it just goes completely off the rails. It's terrible. All right. We haven't even started the game and I've already drank half my water. So let's get this underway. Alright, so I get to draw up to 6. Oh, alright, we got a Moondragon. Strength, a Genius. What? A Starhawk. Pinpoint Strike. And Professor X. Wow. This is an interesting draw. I mean, I would definitely like to get Moondragon out. Starhawk would be a good one. Just because I can keep Starhawk coming back to my hand and playing him out. Like every couple of turns or so. I'm not going to use Pinpoint Strike. Oh, Professor X would be nice. But I think... So I think what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to get these two out. Paying with... So use Professor X and Genius to pay for Starhawk. And then Strength and Pinpoint Strike to pay for Moondragon. And then I will use her ability to get Professor X and Pinpoint Strike actually back into the deck. I think that seems like a good play. Alright, so get out Starhawk here. With those, I'm going to put this off to the side because I know I'm going to take that and put it right back in. And then Strength and Pinpoint Strike, same thing with Pinpoint Strike. We'll get out Moondragon. Then we're going to use her ability to take those two from discard and shuffle them back into the deck. It is a once per round ability, so there is that. But man, shuffling... Being able to shuffle 2 cards with a printed mental resource from your discard pile into your deck is crazy. Yeah, so I tried to put a lot of threat mitigation or, you know, just threat removal into my new Silk deck. I'm not sure exactly how well it'll work, but I guess when we can get the group together again, we'll try it out. Alright, I'm going to flip to Tiny. Or do I want to go up to... You know what? No, I'm going to go up to Big. I'm going to use the Milano to take 2 threat off of here. Because it still had 2 threat, it just kind of got put up there. So, because this has the first player action exhaust the Milano to remove 3 threat from this scheme. I'm not going to use it for anything else, so I'm just going to remove the 2. And then Moondragon and Starhawk are both going to attack. Starhawk will take 2, Moondragon is going to take 1 consequential damage, and then Drang is going to take 3 damage. Alright, where are you? So he's down to 10. And then Wasp is going to attack for another 2. So he's down to 8. Alright, ready. And now I'm basically just kind of keeping Moondragon around to use her ability. Ingenuity, Iron Fist. Ooh. Oh, there's Professor X again. Perseverance and Perseverance. Oh, I hate seeing those 2 coming out. This is like not a good hand. This is really not a good hand. Okay, so this is going to go up by 2. The Badoon ship is going to get 1 barrage counter. And then Drang is going to attack for 2. I can definitely block. I don't think I'm going to though. So he's going to hit for 2, 3, 4. So oops. Alright, so we're down to 7 hit points. And then whiteout. Alright, when revealed, find Blizzard and reveal him. Alright, Blizzard activates against you. If no enemy activated this way, this card gains Surge. Alright. So we are actually going to get to do some shenanigans here with Blizzard and Drang. Alright, so here we have Blizzard. Move this down just a little bit. Okay. He is revealed. Alright. So that is all shuffled. So we found him, we revealed him. He activates, so he's going to attack. I'm actually going to throw Starhawk in the way. He does have Villainous, so he's attacking for 2, just 2. That's going to take out Starhawk. So now, after Blizzard attacks a character, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Encased in Ice and attach it to that character. Shuffle, otherwise stun the attacked character. That is actually going to take out Starhawk, so none of this is actually going to end up firing. Because Starhawk is gone and there's nothing to attach. There's nothing to attach that to, and there's nothing to stun him with, so that just kind of doesn't happen. Oh, but we still have Blizzard. So we found him, we put him into play, he activated. If no enemy activated this way, this card gains Surge, but he did activate, so that card is done. And now it is my turn, and this is actually kind of perfect. Now that you think about it. Okay, so I do know that I would like to get Professor X out. So we're going to use Perseverance, Iron Fist, and sadly... I think I'm going to use both Perseverances and keep Ingenuity in my hand. So I can't play it yet, but I would really like to. So I'm going to play Professor X, and we're going to choose his Confuse the Villain ability here. So Drang is confused. Alright, we're going to exhaust and discard Moondragon to have Blizzard attack Drang. So Blizzard is attacking for 2, 3, 4. So he hits Drang for 4, which is going to take him down to 4. And he ends up triggering his forced response after Blizzard attacks the character. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for Encased in Ice. So we are going to put Drang on ice. Is that Encased? No, that was a Shadow of the Past. Did I already draw an Encased in Ice? I thought there were 2 of them in here. I only saw the 1. Oh, yeah, there are 2. There's the other one. Alright. So now when Drang attacks, he's got to attack the ice. Oh, it's also good to see my obligation gone. Alright, so we're gonna need to move these over just a bit. So Drang is encased in ice. He is also confused. Oh, and I believe the Badoon ship should have another one of these on it. I think I forgot to do that. Or did I? No, I didn't, because we're in the middle of my turn. Sorry, it's always weird when you have like the villain or a minion activating during your turn. It can really mess up your timing. Ooh. Alright, so Professor X, I might as well use him to take the threat off of here. I really want to bounce down, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think what I will do is I'm gonna attack Drang. Or no, I'm not gonna attack Drang. Ooh, okay, so here's where it could get interesting. So, do I attack encased in ice and put 2 damage on there? And then allow Drang to attack with 2 plus whatever's on the boost card here. So then, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do 2 damage to this encased in ice. And we'll see if we can get Drang to hit himself at all. I think that's my turn. I'm going to hold on to Ingenuity because next turn I definitely want to flip down. I can't spend the Milano on anything. Actually, you know what? I could use the Milano to help pay for Professor X, and that way I keep a Perseverance. So the next time I jump up, I can actually gain a Tough. Which I think would be good for Wasp, since I don't want to necessarily be doing a whole ton of defending. I am going to actually flip down into her tiny form. And then, let's see, and make sure after Wasp defeats a minion or side scheme, deal 1 damage to the villain. It's useful. And then on this side, threat you remove using your basic thwart power can be divided among schemes as you choose, and then damage does the same just among enemies as you choose. Alright, so now we're going to ready and draw. So I've got 2, 3, 4, ooh, Wasp's helmet, 5, okay. And a Come Get Me Bub. That actually might be a better play. Yeah, I think Come Get Me Bub is probably the better play. Okay. So this is going to go up by 2, this is going to go up by 1. Drang is attacking, but he has to attack encased in ice. He can't attack us because he's got that attached to him, so he's attacking for 2, 3, 4. So he's attacking for 4. So he puts 4 damage on that, and then if there is 3 or more damage here, move all but 3 damage here to attached character and discard this card. So there's 6, so we end up putting 3 on Drang. Oh, whoops. Sorry, he was at 4, so now he's down to 1. Whoops. Okay, so Encased in Ice goes away. Blizzard is going to attack Professor X. We're wheeling the old man in the wheelchair out in front of the attack from Blizzard. So 2, 3, 4. That is going to take out the Professor, and again, that doesn't trigger because the target is gone. Let's see. The villain attacks you. Alright, so we're getting attacked again by Drang. I'm at 7 hit points. He's going to hit me for at least 2. Come Get Me Bub is going to heal me. I do want to jump down this turn. So I think I'm going to defend. Yeah, so he's attacking for 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I'm really glad I did that. Alright, so I take 3 damage. I'm down to 4. And now it's my turn. Oh, this might not be the play, but we're going to play Come Get Me Bub. We're going to discard cards from the encounter deck until we discard a minion. We have a Badoon Engineer. After Badoon Engineer engages you or activates against you, resolve the Badoon ship's charge up ability. So that's happening. Alright. Put that minion into play engaged with you. Yep, so this still fires. Sadly, even just being put into play. Then we heal 3 damage. So we're going to go back up to 7. And then we're getting a tough status. Alright. So there goes Come Get Me Bub. I want to use the Milano. Because I would like to get Wasp's helmet out. Perseverance isn't really going to do much for me, so I'm going to flip down. I'm going to use Energy to play Ingenuity, and then we're going to use Ingenuity and Perseverance to get out Wasp's helmet. Then we're going to use her Girl ability to go grab Moondragon and I think Professor X. And we're going to put them right back into the deck and shuffle. And we are going to use the Milano to take threat off of there. Oh, that threat is probably gonna pop. So let's see, it's gonna go up by 2, 4, 5. Let's hope Drang doesn't pull in advance, but I say that, so he probably will. Okay, so we're all done there. Everybody readies, and Pinpoint Strike, Pin Particles, okay. Giant Help, another Pinpoint Strike, Twin Carrier, okay, so that's 5. And a Wasp Sting, okay. I think we can work with this. Okay. So this goes up by 2. Drang is confused and cannot scheme. Oh, this is going to go off, however. Oh no, this is gonna knock my tough off. I don't take the 2 indirect damage, but it knocks the tough off. That's unfortunate. Okay, Blizzard is gonna scheme for 1. Badoon Engineer is gonna scheme for 2. So it's at 5. And then that's gonna surge. And Drang is getting his spear, which is fine. It does give him stalwart, but we're about to flip him over into his second phase. And going into his second phase, he wants you to go find the spear. So having the spear already, this means that we can just get rid of it and it won't come back again. Plus, if I can get Moondragon out anytime soon, she can tie him up again for another round, because he won't be stunned. And then he can just attack himself again, essentially. Alright, back to Nadia Van Dyne. Well, I can do... I don't want to use Pin Particles until I'm up. I can't play the Quinn Carrier until I'm in Avenger form, so that's fine. I can use Ingenuity whenever. There's nothing here that I can play without being in hero form. Alright, so we're going to use her ability. What do we want to put back in? I'm thinking... Well, I can't do Starhawk. A Genius would be nice. And I think a Come Get Me Bub. I think those two are probably going to be the best thing to put back into the deck. And then I gotta figure out which form I want to jump up into. I'm kind of leaning towards giant form. Though with Pinpoint Strike, I can deal 7 damage to an enemy, and if I'm in tiny form, I'll deal 1 additional damage to that enemy. And it has overkill. But with Pin Particles, after I spend this card, if I'm in giant form, I get to heal 2 damage. So that would put me up at 9, which is 2 less than her max, because her max is 11. I still have to be careful of Blizzard, because I'm going to get encased in ice this turn, unfortunately. So I think maybe drawing another card is probably a good idea. Alright, so we're going to flip up to tiny form. I mean, I could heal for 3, which would put me at 10. No, because then I can't flip Drang. I do have to get rid of this Badoon Engineer, which I am going to do. Does Drang gain tough? No, he doesn't. Maybe I want to keep Drang around, though, because, and here's the reason. When we go to Drang 2, if Drang Spear is in play, you give Drang 1 face down boost card. So if I can keep him at 1 hit point until I can find Moondragon again, I can get Moondragon to come out. We can take Drang down to this. He'll get a face down boost card. Then we can use Moondragon to use Blizzard to put Encased in Ice on Drang. And then Drang is hitting himself for 3, 4, and then 2 boost cards worth of boost icons. And then we can hit the Encased in Ice for 2, and then he'll have like a whole bunch of extra damage that's just going to end up spilling over onto him. So I think maybe I should instead flip up to giant form. I think that's what I'm going to do instead. Instead of being in tiny form, I'm going to flip up to giant form. And so now I thwart for 3. So I can take 3 off of here, which would put it down to 2. I can hit Blizzard for 7. I should take out the Badoon Engineer. Yeah, okay. So I think instead I'm going to use the Milano to take 3 off of here. That seems good. I'm going to use Pim Particles, Pinpoint Strike, and Giant Help to pay for the Quinn Carrier. Since I am now an Avenger. Then I have to choose between Pinpoint Strike and Wasp Sting. So I think I'm going to have Wasp attack for 2 on the Badoon Engineer. And then we're going to use Quinn Carrier and Ingenuity to play Wasp Sting. I'm going to keep Pinpoint Strike in hand. And then, since I'm in giant form, I deal a total of 4 damage divided among enemies as I choose. So I'm going to put 1 on here and then 3 on Blizzard. So that takes out the Badoon Engineer. I don't have to worry about him anymore. We do have to worry about Blizzard. Like I said, we're about to get Encased in Ice this next turn, but I think it'll be okay. And that will be my turn. So ready and draw. So Pinpoint Strike, we have a Come Get Me Bub. There's Moondragon, perfect. Rapid Growth, and a Meditation. Okay. Okay. So we can do some things. Alright, this is going to go up by 2. Drang is attacking for 3. Oh, and this goes up by 1. Again, Drang is going to attack for 3. If I exhaust, I'm not going to be able to use Meditation to get Moondragon in to play. So I think And I gotta deal with Blizzard attacking me as well. I'm at 7 hit points. They're both getting boost cards when they attack me. Alright, I'm gonna have to block here. So Drang's attacking for 3, so 2-3. And we have to resolve the Badoon ship's charge up ability. So that's going up by another 1. I'm not going to take any damage, however, from that. But Blizzard is attacking me. So we have to search the encounter deck and discard pile for encased in ice after he attacks. So he's attacking for 2, he has Villainous. He's attacking for 3. So that's going to take me down to 4. And then we get encased in ice. So I can't attack enemies other than this card. So that's kind of unfortunate. Okay, I really wish I could ready her. But also I need to draw my card here. Whiteout, when revealed, find Blizzard and reveal him. If he's already in play, he engages you. Blizzard activates against you. No enemy activated this way. This card gains Surge. Oh, this is likely to kill me. So I'm about to be stunned. If I survive. So he's activating against me. 2, 3, 4. Yep, he kills me. Oh, I tried to get a little too cute with it. I should have just taken Drang out in the first place. Yeah. So Drang takes me out just barely. Actually, it's Blizzard who took me out. Because unfortunately, there was no way I could defend against that. I mean, Rapid Growth would have given me a +2, but I was already exhausted to defend against Blizzard's last attack. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Because I could have used a Come Get Me Bub, healed 3, and gotten it tough. Use that Pinpoint Strike against Blizzard. Ah! This is a sad, sad game. But, I mean, I think I did kind of, at least a little bit, illustrate my point. The fact that, you know, you can take cards that are considered quote-unquote bad and make them useful. They can do interesting things if used in the right context. Moondragon works really well with Wasp just because Wasp can keep putting her back in the deck, so you can keep drawing Moondragon. Wasp can almost make Moondragon seem like Clea, which Clea is an ally 2-cost protection ally, where when she's defeated, you get to shuffle her back into your deck instead of putting her in the discard pile. So if you're ever building a protection deck where you kind of need allies, but you don't want to put a whole bunch of allies in the deck, Clea is a very good option because she definitely makes the deck seem like it has far more allies than it actually does. And if you're playing against a scenario that doesn't really have a lot of overkill in it, she's a solid choice. She only has 2 hit points, and that's why I say, as long as it's not one that has, as long as it's not a scenario with a whole lot of overkill in it, because, you put her in, she's only got 1 thwart, 1 scheme, 1 thwart, 1 attack. So, the best she's doing is, like, taking 1 off the main and, pinging the villain or a minion or something like that. But if you are putting together a protection deck, Clea is a solid addition to a protection deck just because she makes it seem like there's a lot more allies in the deck than there actually are. That's assuming, obviously, that you play her, because if you use her to pay for something, she's going to discard, obviously. But, if you're putting her into play, and then she's taking hits, and she's being defeated, she's just going back through your deck again. So, there is that. But yeah, like, going back to Moondragon, I think you can kind of see where you can kind of get her to do some fun things. We were able to use Blizzard to put this encased in ice on Drang, and then get Drang to essentially hit himself for like 3 hit points, or 3 damage, which was kind of fun. I had an idea. I put together a deck, it did not work very well. I still think that there is kind of merit in the idea. I just don't know exactly how to go about putting the deck itself together. But using Iceman to, like, making a Moondragon deck with Iceman, and then using Iceman to pile Frostbite on the villain, so that every time the villain attacks, it does basically no damage to that encased in ice. So the villain is essentially just trying to chip away at the ice, and it's like, thematically, it's like Iceman keeps shoring up that encased in ice. I just thought that sounded really funny. But when I played the deck that I had, I just could not get it to work. I don't know if it was that I was drawing all the cards at the wrong time, or if it was just that the deck itself was really terrible. But anyway, I just thought that sounded funny. And, it's, granted, like, with Moondragon, there is a lot that kind of goes around, like, with this deck, getting her into play, getting her back into the deck. Like, a lot of the focus in the deck is basically trying to get her out as many times as possible. Especially if you've got, like, Blizzard out, or we never did get to see her come out, but what was the other one from the Black Order? Yeah, we never even saw her. She's still in the encounter deck, Supergiant. But there are, building a deck around a single card, like, that whole idea is not new. People have been doing it forever. It's kind of how I think most people start out when they're learning to deck build, is you see a card that you really want to use, and you want to figure out how you can use it as many times as possible. So this, like, I know, like, with Moondragon, it's like, well, she's so, like, she requires you to basically build your deck around her, and it's like, well, yeah, but people do that with really good cards too, or, quote-unquote really good cards. So this is nothing new, and I don't think that that should be considered a knock against this particular card, because there are plenty of cards that are extremely well regarded within the community and used in so many different decks that people will actually build entire decks around, and the deck is built specifically to facilitate the use of that one particular card. So yes, you do kind of have, if you're including Moondragon in a deck, you do kind of have to build around that in order to make it worthwhile. But people do that with other cards as well. And then also a lot of it is definitely going to depend on what kind of minions you have in the encounter deck. If you're just gonna be playing against run-of-the-mill minions, then no, Moondragon is not a good include in your deck. It's just not that useful. But for something like a Blizzard or a Supernova, or basically anything else that you can use that will, it's gonna do some damage, but it's also gonna add an extra bad effect on whatever it is that you're using that minion to attack. I think she's worth a look for a deck. I think she's been overlooked for a very long time because, like I said, when she was initially released, there was one minion that was actually a good target for her. Just one. And now she's got more. It's not a lot, and it's still very niche. It's still just a few in like the wider scheme of the game. There are thousands of cards in the game now at this point. And you saw just how few that she can interact with, but the point is that she can still interact with some stuff. And the game, they're still producing more stuff for the game. More stuff is coming out. We saw Cottonmouth, Purple Man, those allies, or not allies, those minions in the Nemesis sets for both Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, good targets for Moondragon. So, I would caution against getting caught up in the community tendency to look at a card like in a vacuum and say this card is bad. I would challenge you to not look at cards as good or bad, and instead look at cards as useful or not useful, depending on what you want, like what kind of a scenario you're going to throw them into, or what kind of hero you're going to use them with. Because I think, like, for me, my philosophy with playing the game is very much centered around having fun with as much of it as you can. Like, just try to find the fun in everything. And it's not always going to work. Like, I think I mentioned before, there are just certain heroes that I don't play with. They just haven't clicked for me. And so I don't find them interesting or all that fun to play. But I always keep the option open to go back and play with those particular heroes, or, even cards that I'm like, I don't know why I'd ever use this card. I always like to keep that option open, because that's more stuff for me to have fun with. That's more stuff for me to play with. And if I can finally figure out a way to make a hero that, when I first look at them, I'm not interested. Like, if I can figure out a way to take one of those heroes and make them fun for myself, like, I want to do that. I want to be able to have fun with as much of the game as I possibly can. I think the Venom hero is actually a good example of that. When they announced the Venom hero, I had zero interest in him. I didn't know who he was as a character. I had absolutely, like, no interest whatsoever in playing him. But I got the hero, and I make it a point that I try out. When I get a new hero, I try out every hero. Yeah, fun. Exactly, fun is why we play. And that's a big reason that I stay with standard, is because for me, like, I'm trying to have fun. And especially, like, recently when I've been just so tired, like, the last thing I want to do is be trying to, like, burn up my brain trying to get through expert. But then also, you know, again, going back to, I really like to play janky decks. But, like, the point being, like, going back to Venom, I always make it a point to try every hero that I get with their pre-con decks slightly modified. I'll take out the extra max 1 per player cards, just because they kind of clutter up the deck, and really the only reason that they're in the deck is because FFG has to give you a full play set of cards, and if it's a new card, they have to give you the full play set. So I'll usually take out the extra 2, replace those with another card that I think will work with the deck, with the pre-con deck as it is outside of that. And so when I actually played the new Venom, or not the new Venom, but the Venom hero, when I played the Venom hero, I discovered, wow, he's actually a lot of fun. And he's actually, I think he's on my list of heroes that I just really love to play. Like, I'll always go back and revisit Venom. Captain America is on that list. I really enjoy playing Captain America. Winter Soldier, Nightcrawler, Colossus. Like, these are all heroes that I just have a lot of fun whenever I get to play them. And especially, Hercules is another one. Especially if I've built a deck for them that I just have a ton of fun with, and that's kind of the deck that now I kind of consider, like, that, for me personally, the definitive deck for that hero. Yeah, it's super fun to pull them out and use them against different villains and see how far I can get. But, I mean, like, that's just kind of my whole philosophy of the game. Like Dorsey said, fun is why we play. Like, I'm playing this game to have fun, and I want to have fun with everything that it has to give me. I don't like looking at cards in a vacuum, like I said, and just saying, oh, this is a bad card, or this is a good card. I like to look at it more as, is it a useful card for the circumstance? Is it a fun card? And that's another thing, is like, is it fun? Or, even if it's not fun, like, again, is it useful? Can it help enhance the fun of another card? Or a hero? Or, even a villain or a scenario? Does it enhance the fun of playing against that particular villain? Is there some interaction with that particular card that, it does something weird and it ends up being, like, fun, funny, just interesting. So, like, I would challenge you that if you're one of the types of people who, you look at a card and you say, this is a bad card, I'm never going to play this card, to instead just change your thinking just a little bit. And instead, don't think of cards as good or bad. Think of them as useful or not useful for whatever scenario it is that you're gonna be playing against. Not every card has to be useful for every scenario. Not every card has to work with every hero. Some cards are going to work better with some certain heroes than with others. Some cards are going to work really well with one hero and not be all that great with a whole bunch of other heroes. Like, Moondragon, for instance. I think with Wasp, she's a very good include with a Wasp deck where you're going up and against scenarios that have these types of minions in them that you can use to basically turn against the villain or turn against each other. But again, like, she's not a card that I would put in every deck, and that I think is one of the reasons that I'm kind of drawn to her card, is because it's not an auto include. I don't like auto include cards. I think they make deck building boring. And so, like, I'm always going to be drawn to these kind of weird niche outlier cards that everybody thinks are just terrible because you can't include them in every deck. And you really shouldn't include them in every deck. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to end the stream there. It is really hot in this room that I'm playing in. Oh, I can't wait till things cool down. It might be freezing in this room in the middle of winter, but at least I can, like, put a coat on. There's only so many clothes that you can take off. Yeah, it's, oh. Whew, it has been a very warm day, especially since I spent it outside. But anyway, yeah, so that was the stream. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, you can hit me up either in the comments, or you can email me at caughtoffguard@proton.me, proton.me, and it's down in the description. Also, if you like the kind of content that I put out, the kind of gameplay that I do, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And I am not sure what I'm going to play next week. Maybe Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. We'll see which one. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good night, and make sure to drink. Yes, I'm definitely, like, I'm almost out of water here, so I'm going to go, as soon as this is over, I'm going to go fill this up with water again and drink more water. Yes, this is true. The worst place to get caught off guard is the face. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and here's hoping that you don't get caught off guard.